conference. We'll have 2 mic runners. Please wait for the microphone to reach you before asking a question. Now joining us are members of the UCLA Bruins, head coach John Savage, and student athletes Cashel and Cal Randall. Coach, we'll begin with an opening statement from you, and then open up the questions for the student athletes.
You know, it just seemed like we were kind of swimming upstream a little bit most of the game, continuation game. You know, we put up 3, and then they put up 4. Then they come out and do a good job with 2 outs in the 4th. It got 2 there, and it just seemed like we were just trailing a little bit from the mound mostly. Offensively, you know, Evans did a really, really good job. I thought he pounded his zone with multiple pitches. But, you know, we hard fought, right? We stayed in the ball game. We got to Williams. Did a good job, gave us a chance at the end of the game, but we just really couldn't, we just couldn't contain them enough, really, at the end of the day. So, you know, it was kind of a long couple days, really, but at the same time, you know, you got to expect anything at the World Series, and you got to deal with anything at the World Series. So, you know, it affected both teams the same way. It didn't affect us anymore or anything like that. It's baseball, and at the end of the day, we need to recover and rebound and have an opportunity tonight to, get back at it.
We'll open it up to questions for the student athletes. A reminder to state your name and media affiliation.
Kaidi-san, Daily Bruin for Cash. You caught the game today. I believe 9 or so pitchers you caught. Not the best days from Landon or Easton or Weiland. What did you sort of see from them just behind the plate compared to, the success we've seen from them all season?
Yeah, I mean, not much. They went out there. They were competing. Just some days you have it better than others, but I thought they competed out there. I mean, we're in the World Series. They're giving it their all. So just some days you just don't have it as good as others. So.
Yeah.
Any questions for the student athletes? Okay, guys. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks. Good job, Cal. Nice going. Well done.
Thank you.
Good 0 you put up. Nice going.
Thank you, guys.
Good job, Cash.
Okay, we'll open it up to questions for Coach.
Kendall Rogers, D1 Baseball. John, just looking at the middle of LSU's lineup with Milan Brown and Jared Jones, what is it about them that just makes them just really tough outs in terms of just the approach from a pitching coach standpoint?
Yeah, I mean, Milan's advanced strike zone discipline guy. Very, very good. Jones, we made several mistakes too. He's got power to the whole field, and we made a really bad mistake last night. It was ball was supposed to be in. It was elevated away. So they're going to hit those sorts of mistakes and do some damage to them. So you got to give them a lot of credit. We just left too many balls out over the plate, and they're not going to miss those. So any good, solid middle lineup College World Series team, I would think, is going to hit those. But Jones went to 3-run homer on the ball today in the 9th, ball out over the plate. He got to that one. So, really strong guy, and when you make mistakes, they could do some damage with it.
Coach Lawrence Price with TNT Sports. The last press conference you talked about, or you were asked about the team's youth, and you talked about how, they have a lot more experience than maybe the roster portrays. Can you talk even about just the preparation when you're facing a veteran team like LSU and now preparing for a team like Arkansas?
Well, it's a good question. You're playing really good teams, and there's some teams that have a little more youth. There's some teams that have a little more experience. There's teams that have a little more age. You just have to deal with it all, really. And it's not bad or good or indifferent, really, if you're either or. But at the same time, I think they showed their experience today and last night. And we had some opportunities, but at the end of the day, I just thought they were the better team today. So, we got to regroup and focus on Arkansas now.
Mark Garland, College Baseball Central coach. 2-out hitting seemed like they just did a little bit better than you guys today in that. Is there something that you address with the team and maybe take a different approach today?
They did a really good job with 2 strikes and 2 outs. You're right. Moss goes 2 outs and then can't get out of the inning. I think that happened with another guy, May possibly, but they just, it's at this level, it's hard to get 3 outs, any inning, and they're just a little bit a higher level, I guess you would say. But it's baseball, and we just didn't make enough pitches really at the end of the day. I don't want to call them the Yankees, right? They're good, but it's more about us. It's always about us, we didn't make enough pitches, and they're a really good team, and that's a bad combo sometimes, right? So at the end of the day, they had a really good approach.
LifeScott at WorldBaseball.com. John, with 9 pitchers used today, what's the plan for tonight?
Oh, we play tonight? Oh, okay. No, good question. Another good question. When you're in the winner's bracket, you got to do everything you can to stay in the winner's bracket. Anybody that tells you otherwise doesn't know what they're talking about or has never coached. But I think, we have some guys, clearly. We have about 5 or 6 guys that didn't throw either yesterday or today. So we'll pick 1 or 2, we'll pick some guys out of that lot. And, it's always, you always feel, can a guy come back, right, in morning and at night? And, the World Series is not designed for that, right? This isn't designed for that. And they didn't ask for this, and we have to deal with it. We're the team that has to deal with it. So that's okay. And a lot of them threw 10, 12, 14 pitches. Most of those guys should be able to come back. But we do have still a pretty big group of guys that haven't thrown.
We'll take one more question.
Noah Beanick, 11.7. Coach, I was talking to a staffer of yours, and I was actually kind of surprised when he said that this would be your first doubleheader that you've played all season. I went looking through the schedule, and I think it was right. Playing in the Big Ten, it looked like you dodged quite a bit of weather, which is surprising. So I'm curious of how you plan to handle, a little bit of a delay here between games.
Yeah, we haven't played a doubleheader. That is a little surprising in some ways. We don't deal with weather much in LA, obviously, on the West. Certainly in that league you do. We dodged it. You answered the question probably. I may not even have to answer it, but it's the World Series, man. I mean, you got to deal with anything that comes your way, and if you have to play a doubleheader, you have to play a doubleheader. If you feel sorry for yourself, you ain't gonna be playing for very long. So it's the nature of the game, and we'll be ready to go tonight. So it's not a doubleheader back to back either, right? You got to go sit for a game, and so it's not the schedule. No one planned it like this. We have to deal with it. So we'll be fine. We're big boys.
That'll conclude our press conference. Coach, we appreciate your time.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Hammond Communications will post a recording of this press conference in the NC